Oh.
You know what sound that is, folks? That is another noon whistle. I'm Chris Trottier, and with
I'm
me
John
is
Anzalone. Hey,
John
we're
Anzalone.
here today with Mr. John Handel, coming to you from the AD bunker at the high school. How are you, John?
Good. I think I might be the first multiple time guest, which is, like being on Saturday Night Live a second or third time. So
You got it.
super exciting.
You are in
I'm guessing the
competition
viewership was pretty high the last time.
You are in competition with Amanda Griffel, from the Human Resources Director at Precision Plus.
Oh, yeah. Last time you were on, John, you crippled the internet. The feed was loaded.
Yeah, it shut down here for like a week straight.
Yeah. Well, John, let's start talking about Sports Jam. No, I'm just kidding.
I have a lot to say about that.
I figured as much. All right, John. Well, we wanted to have you on because, everyone's hunkering down here for the holidays, and give us some highlights of the fall sports season as it just concluded. We had a great football state championship. Congratulations to Lake Geneva Badger on their D2 title. Tell us a little bit about the highlights from the one herd in fall.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Badger because I do think that you can see how sports galvanizes a community. I think that the engagement of the community down in Lake Geneva over that whole thing, and I don't want to not include Genoa City and things like that. You can just see how important high school sports are to communities. It is the front porch of communities and is the front porch of the school district. So as far as our fall sports go, we had a couple conference championships, and once again, we're not measuring ourselves on that, but shout out to boys soccer and to the girls tennis team. We had multiple kids make it to state in different sports. I think we had 23 or 24 kids get first team, second team, or honorable mention all conference. So that's cool. And then most importantly, we got our morning lifting program off the ground. We certainly encourage student athletes to be multiple sport athletes. We are committed to that in season and out of season strength and conditioning program as part of our core values. And then a lot of leadership opportunities for those student athletes that wanted to be involved in Leadership Council. We just took a bunch of our kids over to Beloit for the Southern Lakes Conference Leadership Summit with Travis Doherty from Champions 101. And then we're taking 4 or 5 kids up to the leadership conference at the WIA sponsors sometime in December. So a lot of good things happening that way. And we're constantly trying to increase participation in athletics. And I know, compared to other schools in our conference, our numbers of kids in our sports are really, really high. So, we'll continue to push for all those things and continue to, work towards alignment of all of our stakeholders. That's a pretty big task, but that's the task.
We had Travis Doherty on the Noon Whistle. And
we did.
He was great. So, let's talk a little Champions 101. Obviously, you just mentioned you got the Student Leadership Council. You have your coaches' culture meetings that I believe are happening once a month. And then you have the Champions 101. Give us an update on how those are going. Where are some opportunities in the future? What impact have you seen? Talk a little bit about that intentional effort behind really creating that competitive athletic culture.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, I know one of the things, the conversations that I have on a daily basis with our coaches. I had a coach come in today and I'm kind of excited about how things were going in her program. And what she was mentioning was how many of her values that they have been preaching according to our values have been shown by her athletes. So they're holding other kids accountable for not following those values. I think that those are good steps because kid-led teams are usually the best teams. So, the goal is to develop champions in the classroom and in life and see how well these people do. And I think we have a lot of examples of kids who are going to succeed and do really great things 20 to 25 years down the road when they're out in the real world. So we're excited about all that. The coaches' culture, once again, those are heavy lifts and deep conversations that we like having with our coaches. Once a month, we do have assistant coaches that come in, and that's the first time we've done that this year, that we've added them to the mix. And we just talk 100% of the time about alignment. What does alignment look like? How do we speak a common language with our kids? What are the expectations of going from sport to sport? And we really just drill back down to, those core values. If anybody who's listening is interested in that, that stuff is all on the Elkhorn High School website under athletics. So if you look under mission and vision, and really my job here is pretty fun. I get to work on these types of initiatives that I think are super important. And these are when we leave or get misaligned from our core values. We do have some kids who are very quick to point out like that doesn't make sense, and I think those are the right conversations, because when kids are seeing what sometimes from 1,000 feet I can see and everybody else can see, then I think we're doing the right thing.
Sure.
So, it's all about being the best version of ourselves all of the time, and recognizing that it's really hard work. If it wasn't hard work, like I tell our kids all the time, everybody would do it.
Yeah. So John, talking about Lake Geneva, how do you feel about just your opinion when teams from the Southern Lakes Conference in any sport get to the state level? Opinion on that and how that affects other conference teams or the conference as a whole?
Well, I think the local radio station should most definitely broadcast those games. I'll start there. I was looking to get a chuckle from Chris.
Yeah, no, I was waiting.
I think they're just good for everything, and I think we should be pushing out as much stuff on social media, congratulating as many of those kids and coaches as possible. If I was talking in front of my leadership council, I would be talking about how, from my AD chair, what a great job Matt Hensler does. And one thing when you're playing against Badger, I know their motto of their football program is "Be Us." What an awesome motto. I'm sure when they're not winning, he gets criticized often by people for not ever throwing the ball, because they run a run-oriented offense. And the fact that they do it that way, you're going to get questioned by some people when the running doesn't look well. But shout out to those guys, and whoops, my lights turned off, and all those other great things. But I do think having an identity is super, super important.
Yeah.
And
do you think like
that's their culture and it's what they do? And I know in the current Southern Lakes, no football team has ever won one. Old Southern Lakes, Jefferson, Milton, some of those other schools have won them in the past.
Yeah, I always thought it made you be proud.
Dave Craig.
Yeah, you're just proud to be part of that conference. Like, I think it gives your conference some credibility. Like, hey, there's good competition in this conference.
And we've had it in all kinds of sports. We've had some baseball teams win and some other team sports, and we've had we've had pockets of really good things going on. I think overall as a conference, I know the athletic directors work really hard on trying to get everybody on the same page. But I think pushing out and sharing the message of our conference and how well other teams do in our conference is pretty powerful tool for kids that they want to say, hey, I would like to be a part of that. I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, John, tell us a little bit. I know there's always things happening out of Stevens Point. Mm-hmm. Give me a little update. I know you're very well connected and very involved at the state level with the WIAA. And so give me a little insight on, I know you've been on a competitive balance team that's looking. Do you want to tell the many viewers, and by the way, if you're on, please toss some questions John's way. He's already used your comment button and throw them our way. We're always looking to get some questions, but talk a little bit about the competitive balance.
Sure. Competitive balance from finding a way to get teams assigned and giving everybody a chance to feel like they have a chance to compete for a state championship at the end of the year was the mission and vision behind that classification and competitive balance committee. I was honored to serve on it the last couple of years and still will be serving on the appeal committee portion of that. In 2014, it went to the membership and the membership voted it down. We came back with a reworked plan and it passed, fortunately, pretty easily passed. I believe it was 58-42, or maybe it was 60-40 or something like that. But people wanted to see a change. So when people complain about it, I would love to have those conversations with people. If you think enrollment only is the best way to predict athletic success, there's so many other factors. So I think our model does include some of those factors. There are some schools that, because of socioeconomics and other factors, open enrollment. things like that have hardships and have a difficult time competing. So I know we just met earlier a couple weeks ago to talk about how some of those teams should possibly be moved down a division. That's what we're going through the process of doing right now. No local teams. There were really no local teams, no Southern Lakes teams that even applied to go down, but some teams throughout the state that just have had some difficulty getting tons and tons of kids in participation, and at some point felt like they lost any chance they've had to compete.
Sure.
And we had one soccer school up by Eau Claire that had gotten beat in the tournament series 60-0 the last 10 years in boys soccer and had never not gotten the last seed. Like, that's probably looking for some relief. So we did move them down a division. I don't want you to think it's just this woe is me, cried to the WIA and we're going to move you, because it's not that at all. There's paperwork that has to be filled out, but you really have to do a good job of telling your story. You know, I think that's one thing that we as a district have gotten better at, is telling our story to people. We have to get our story out there. Here's who we are. Here's the set of cards we have. Here's why, here's some competitive advantages that we may have as a school district, and then really tell your own story. And I think the one district in particular did a really good job of telling their story about why there were such struggles and with open enrollment.
Sure.
Yeah.
John, so we're about to, well, I mean, it's already up and running, the winter season.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you most excited about, intrigued about when it comes to the winter sports season? I know you got it.
Well, I'm excited about everything.
Here and there, and
yeah, we got Eric Larson's our new basketball coach. That's exciting as you see him try to build his culture. And I think he'll align really well with our values. He's already done a great job with that. The couple things I want to highlight on January 18th, our wrestling program is going to have a wrestling meet in the auditorium, on the high school auditorium, for the first time. So we're going to try it. It's been done at the college level before. Jake Stilling, who's done a really good job at our school as wrestling coach, that was kind of his brainchild. And we just said, okay, let's do it. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. And I think there's all kinds of questions about this and that. And I said, we'll just figure that out as we go. So I hope the auditorium doesn't smell too bad when we get done with it. On the 19th, and I think this is we're still in the process of finalizing this, but it looks like we have been chosen as one of like 20 different games throughout the state that Greg Gard at the University of Wisconsin and his Coaches versus Cancer group has decided to. So we have a doubleheader that day against Badger. So looks like we're going to be a Coaches versus Cancer game that day. So that's going to be really neat, because that's a doubleheader in Elkhorn. So just got that message out, and we're in the process of working on it, but there'll be some more information coming out on that as we move forward. So that's really pretty exciting. So
Greg Gard, the pride of Iowa Grant High School.
Yeah, we'll try to get him on. Don't ask me that nickname, because I don't think I know it.
Oh,
Whoa.
we got one.
Stumper.
We got a little comment from Teresa Boger.
I think it's the Panthers.
Yeah, she was pretty excited about the Coach Larson hire. I know I've as a youth coach, I've heard Coach Larson talk about his philosophy. I think I'm excited to see what he'll do with the program, take it to the next level. So
it is the Panthers, by the way, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet.
Maybe we can try to land him on the show. That will be the highest viewership you've had.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Over the governor, you think?
Yeah.
Well, John, do you think he'll talk about partner passing when he comes on?
Yeah.
I'd really like to. Yeah. Let's really break it down. Let's have him on. Let's just break it all down.
Yeah. I got some questions. They look pretty good yesterday. They beat Virginia.
Yeah. And we do have tonight boys swimming and boys basketball have their home openers. Boys swimming is against Kenosha Bradford. Boys basketball is against Whitewater. The old Whippet Elk rivalry, which I think we should always keep going.
Absolutely.
A little bit like the Elkhorn Delavan one. Girls basketball is on the road tonight, but we have a couple home events. So if you haven't come out to watch any high school sports, come on out and let us know what you think, and we'll try to make it as good of a bang for your buck as we possibly can. So you can't beat high school sports. And we just finished up the fall musical, The Elf, and shout out to all those kids who were involved in, and our leaders who were involved in getting that production out and about. Miss Stepman, Mrs. Schneider, and Mrs. Keel in particular. But
full house
by everybody.
Right?
So full house, I think pretty close to full both nights. So
Yeah.
that's cool. People want to get out and do those things. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm wondering if you guys should take this show on the road at some point and go to a local establishment who maybe sponsors you. And
That's what we need, Chris.
Maybe the next level of this.
Yeah.
You're an innovator, John. You're an innovator.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting to that point of the show, and it always goes quickly. I think we're gonna default, Mr. Anzalone and I. We're gonna let John Handel, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, give a little thanks to a special group, an organization, an event that just happened that we discussed in the pre-show. So go ahead, John. Take it to the next level.
Right over my shoulder there.
Take the lead.
Pretty influential guys in my life, Dave Frazier and Randy Wolf. We lost one of the best at the beginning of October, and what a community effort to get that run for Randy off the ground in about 5 weeks. I know John was on that committee and helped get it going, but it just felt good to be an Elkhorn person. Not that it doesn't other times, but it felt especially good because it's unbelievable how much the community rallied around the whole Wolf family and got that thing done. And it was some former runners that kind of got the idea going, and pretty cool that they pulled it off in as little as time as possible, raised some money for the Scholarship Foundation, which is doing things for all the right reasons as well. And hopefully they can keep that thing going. I know we're going to try to have a cross-country invite named after Randy here every single year as well. And so, we miss him. I don't think we realize how much we miss him yet. I know that in the day-to-day operations of school, the kids move on and things like that, but we're not gonna forget his impact here, and we'll continue to try our best to do the right thing for his family moving forward. And what a shout out and a great day to be an Elk last Saturday.
A community member as a whole. I mean, that was an amazing outpouring. And, you mentioned the 2 girls and 2 alumni. I think, giving a shout out to Kate Cook Lonzy and Casey Plashinsky Smith. They really pulled all these people together, and they got after it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yep. And John Henderson, a fellow Rotarian, couldn't say it better. Happy Thanksgiving to each of you, to all our guests who are and our loyal listeners and viewers, and everybody have a great Thanksgiving, and think about all those people out there who maybe not, and give a little extra hug to everybody. And on that note,
hey, you know what?
What?
Can
John?
I pause you for just a second?
I think you just did.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So seeing John Henderson's name, he was first in his age category in the run. Just a shout out to John, keep it youthful, John. Good job.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
You bet. And I'm glad it was a lot of fun, John. And I'm glad, and thank you guys for all your support and all the work you do. And all our loyal listeners in the Noon Whistle. We'll see you next Tuesday. But unfortunately, it's time to go back to work. So let's hit the horn and go get some lunch.
See you guys.